Welcome to episode 21 of the Hot Mess Roundtable. My name is Lauren, and I am a hot mess this week because it is summer and my kids are home and it sucks. And I love the season of summer, but I don't love my kids all being home every day and driving me up the wall.
I love everything about that.
Yeah.
It's time to go back to school.
I love my kids.
You're on the countdown back to
Please
school.
go back to school.
Yeah.
You just love them better when they're in school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. When there's a routine to our life.
And when they go somewhere and get tired and come back tired.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
My name's Jordan. I'm a hot mess this week because it feels like my whole house is falling apart. I have 3 examples for you. And none of these are big examples. My mom she built this gorgeous home a couple years back. Like, I don't know, a lot of years back, actually 5 or 7 years. They built like their retirement home, right? And then everything around them proceeded to break in their house. So like the molding fell off. And like my husband's over there every weekend, like fixing something. Every appliance they've ever purchased has gone bad after like 2 or 3 years. So it's nothing like that. So I'm trying to tell myself it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But all these little things just keep happening that like make me want to pull my hair out. So the other day, I'm using our microwave that's not that old. It's just a couple years old. And literally the plastic covering off like the top of the inside just falls off and then proceeds to shatter into like multiple pieces. So I can't even like put it back in.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So that happened. And then we have a bench in our kitchen. And so we've, of course, been podcasting upstairs the last couple months. And so even though we took a summer break, my husband did not. So he has been podcasting still. And nobody wants to sit in a bench for a couple hours, right? So we had moved the bench into the living room and put it under a window. And I proceeded to spend like a month and a half singing to my dog, Finnegan, because he would put his paws up on the bench and look at me when I was coming up the front porch. So I'm like, how much is that doggy in the window? And I'm like so excited that Finnegan can see me. Well, little do I know he's scratching the hell out of that bench the whole time. So I don't know.
Idea.
So, and then I can't remember the third one. Nope, that's gone.
Yeah. I don't remember the third one. You told me about the bench, but I don't remember the other ones.
But his house is falling apart around me and I'm really sad about it.
Honestly, though, those aren't 2 huge things.
They're not.
But they're
just annoy me.
annoying.
Yeah. It's
Oh, I remember the third one now. The rug by the front door. I am having like an existential crisis over my rug. So I have a rug that I like to keep by the front door. You guys will notice that it is just wadded up to the side of the door at the moment because I can't keep it to the ground. I used rug tape. I've used like sticky pads. I've used the like rug grippers, like the rubber stuff. I've used like the felt grippers. I've used everything imaginable. And my 70-pound chow will come skidding to a stop right on that rug.
And it just curls up underneath.
It does. And it just like rips it right off. And finally I was like, I can't keep putting these floor stickers down because I'm going to like tear the varnish off my wood.
Right.
And so I don't even know. So now I don't know if I just can't have a rug in front of the door, but it really does help pick up like mud, I feel like, and dirt. So I feel like I need it, but I don't know. So I need our hot mess community's help to tell me how to keep the rug on the ground. My mom tells me I need to get like a rug with like the bathroom mat stuff on the bottom.
I think
He would just rip that right up too.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what we have in our kitchen, like little kitchen rug.
Yeah.
And Goldie goes crawling or walking through there and she shuffles.
Yeah.
And they're never
Just wads them all up.
Yep. They're always wadded up.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I promise you, Dudley is stronger than Goldie.
Well, he weighs about 4 times.
Yeah. And I mean, this dog is freaking strong. And I'm like,
Right.
so I'm a mess.
Yeah. If Goldie can do that, then I don't think the rubber backs are going to do anything for you.
So,
Maybe like you need like one of those, like a heavy, like one of, I want to say it's not burlap, but like the, more like an indoor outdoor rug.
Yeah, like
No,
a
that's kinda-
rattan type thing.
Yeah. That's like kind of heavy.
More sturdy.
Yeah.
That maybe, that wouldn't wad up as easily. Or you can't really even wad it up because it's so stiff.
Yeah, I wonder if I can find a pretty one. Or like the rubber ones that are made to look like cast iron, like maybe one of those.
Or like those foam mats that you stand on in the kitchen. You know, like
Yeah,
those,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
fluff,
Yeah.
those foamy ones.
Yeah.
Something like that would, because you can't wad that up.
But my other rug is much prettier. But it is wadded up in the
Yeah.
corner. So
Dudley's just gonna keep moving it.
yeah, I know. I'm a mess. I'm just a mess. This is why I'm a hot mess this week.
Well, my name's Amanda, and I'm a hot mess this week because we're recovering from company last week.
Oh, company.
Not that I did not want them at our house. We had Cliff's cousin and his wife and her kids were out. Matt and Courtney and Landon and Kaylin came out for the week from California.
Oh, that's exciting.
It was fun. We had a blast. I think we checked off all their lists, off all their everything they wanted to do while they were here. We were all exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
So and they were exhausted when they left. But yeah, so just trying to recoup and get myself back in order. And it was a good week. It was a great week. But yeah, we're tired. So we're trying to figure that all out. And Cliff has been working like a crazy man. He's just so busy, and he works outside in this heat.
Oh, yeah.
And so when he comes home, he just doesn't want to do anything because he's just exhausted and hot.
Yeah. Don't blame him.
So is his shop not air conditioned at all?
No.
Do they have big fans?
They have 2 huge fans that blow through.
Does that help?
It does, especially, when he gets all sweaty. It's like, he's like, oh, that's cool. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of gross, but whatever. So, yeah, it's not air conditioned. The 2 big doors, the roll-up doors where they bring the cars in, are open all day.
Yeah.
So I try to keep the house cool when he gets home.
Yeah.
So he can just kind of melt.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's what we're at right now. So,
Oh, it sucks working not outside, but with no air conditioning.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it for a while too, and it's rough.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I couldn't do it.
there's no cooling down unless you go and stand in front of the fan.
Yeah.
But then you can't do anything. You can't
And
do
then working where we work, I come in and I'm freezing, and so I don't
Uh-huh.
dare go home and go, oh, I froze all day.
Mhm.
It's
Must be nice.
Night. Yeah.
Yep.
So I keep my mouth shut on that one. But yeah, so what are we drinking today?
This week we are drinking a drink that we've drank probably a bunch before. Like we've done several versions of this, but what do you want from us? We like our vodka. So this is another cran vodka drink. So this one is cran grape juice, which is my personal favorite juice. I love it. And then my effin' blood orange vodka, because love that brand. It's still my favorite vodka. Although the Kettle One gave it a run for its money.
The peach blossom.
Yeah, but I still
That was good.
I still really like the blood orange from Effin. And then a little dash of Sprite.
It's very refreshing. Very good.
It is. Yeah. Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Okay. So this week we are embarking on a special 2-part series, which is very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
All about weddings.
Weddings. Yay.
So Lauren and I have had a running joke like our entire time we've known each other, that when we get frustrated at work or overwhelmed or just don't want to do what we're doing anymore, we always just say, we're just going to stop. When Lauren and I work together, we'd say, we're going to quit our jobs and we're going to go become party planners or wedding planners.
Mm-hmm.
And we always used to have like the best ideas for weddings.
Matt just told me yesterday, because I helped throw a party for my friend's 50th this weekend. And I was like, oh, it was so much fun. We had all these people showed up. Like, we had a great time. And he goes, you really should just be a party planner. I was like, Matt, I've been telling you this for years.
Yeah,
I said, this is Jordan and I's plan.
Longer than you've even been around.
Right. Like from the first marriage.
Yeah, like longer than you've even been around. We've been talking
we
about
wanted
this.
to do.
Yeah, you guys are good at doing that. All the events I've ever been to that you planned have been amazing.
We love it.
It's fun, yeah. Well, that's the joke. That's the running joke.
That's
is
the running
that
joke.
we are going to be
You're going to quit your jobs and be a party planners.
someday, which my job's kind of hard to quit right now.
Yeah. You got about 20 more years of that.
Yeah, shit. Don't remind me.
Oh, I have to tell you guys before we get into weddings too far, we have to shout out friend Carolyn. Carolyn, friend of the podcast, sent us this adorable little bracelet, and I have to read you the little card that comes with it. It says, "Messy bracelet. Life is messy sometimes. A lot of things are out of control, but the cross has the final word. No matter what the day brings, God is in control. I pray this bracelet is a reminder that God's got you and is in control of whatever the day brings. Trust in his plan. Blessings, Kim, who I think is the lady who makes these bracelets at her church. And it's got a little cross on the
That's cute.
bracelet. And but I thought that was so fun. It's a messy bracelet.
I think
I love
Lauren
it.
needs that right now.
Yeah, we're going to have to give the messy bracelet to Lauren.
I was telling the girls that earlier that my toddler pooped in his pull up today and then pulled the pull up off.
Yeah, I
on
can't
the
believe
couch.
that's not why you're a hot mess.
Yeah.
I mean but that's just like
It's part of it.
it's in the greater within the greater scope of kids being home for the summer.
It doesn't happen to be the worst thing that happened this week.
I mean, no, the week is young.
Yeah, it's only
The week is young. And yeah, I just don't want to jinx the rest of the week. I don't know. It's all every day is a bad day.
We'll just say today was the worst day.
I
And
hope so.
We'll hope it gets better for you.
I hope that's the case.
I'm sure that's the... I
The
mean,
worst thing that happened this week?
oh yeah, pooping on the couch? Like,
No, I don't think so. I really don't. That's like, I don't know. That's like an everyday type of,
ooh.
not pooping on the couch specifically, but like dealing with poop or puke is like a pretty much everyday occurrence at my house
Oh.
between the 4 kids and 3 dogs. So
Oh, yeah. Once you add the animals in there,
yeah, that's just
it's just always somewhere.
part of it. Yeah.
Okay, did you girls have a big wedding or a small wedding?
I didn't have a huge wedding. We got married in a friend's backyard.
Tell us about your wedding.
Well, Cliff and I pretty much paid for our wedding ourselves. We just had a friend that Cliff grew up with offer us their backyard. And she loved Travis is who his close friend was. And his mom loved flowers and they had a pool in their backyard. And so she's like, yeah, I get to redo all the flowers in my yard. And she did. She redid all the flowers, all the landscaping in her yard. We had flowers floating in the pool. We rented chairs and tables. And his sister had a archway from a wedding. I think they had done like 2 weeks before that. And she's like, hey, do you want to use this? I'm like, sure. And it was just very low key. It was, so we had a catered barbecue and,
For being very low key, though, I've seen your wedding pictures. Your hair is like so curly and done up, and your dress is like so formal and fluffy. And
that's all I wanted
the
was the big dress.
quintessential, like big fluffy dress.
Yep, I wanted the big dress. The girls' dress, I had 5 bridesmaids. Misty, my best friend, was my maid of honor, but they all had the same dresses.
Yeah.
And I worked at Sears, and that's where I got their dresses.
Oh, very
What
good.
were your colors?
Purple. It was the deep plum purple and turquoise.
Oh, that sounds pretty.
Does
The turquoise, there wasn't a whole lot in it. It was mostly our napkins and some stuff on our cake, but the dresses were purple, and then the guys all had Cliff didn't want to do like the colors on their tuxes, and so the guys all had black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wore tails.
Oh, very formal.
Oh no,
So this
I
is-
haven't
feels
gotten
formal.
I haven't gotten to the best part. They wore shorts.
Oh my God.
Shorts with tails.
That's
is
hilarious. And what year
literally-
was this?
This was in 98.
98. Okay.
This was the one and only thing that Cliff fought me on the entire wedding planning.
wearing shorts?
Was wearing shorts. Well, we got married in San Diego.
I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the guys had shorts on, including my father-in-law, who was also in the wedding. And then when my dad walked me down the aisle, he goes, "I'm not wearing no freaking shorts." So my dad had the Western cut jacket and then wore the ironed Wranglers in his boots when he walked me down the aisle. So
I love it. You know, everything about this wedding feels like such a good mashup between you and Clint.
Yes, I agree.
It was very much us. So it was good. And then
That's
afterwards, we had, so when we lived in San Diego, Cliff was on a pit crew. I think I've talked about that when we went to Arizona. We went for the race crew. And so all the guys came to the wedding. Race car was literally parked outside the wedding because after the wedding was over, they all went to the racetrack, and including us. Yeah, sure did. Went to the racetrack.
So
After your wedding?
After my wedding, we had our reception, and then it was about, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night. Cliff was like, let's go to the races. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? We literally just got married. Like, I don't want to go to the races. So we went home. I took my dress off. I did not take my veil off.
Good
And
for you.
I kept my veil on, and we went to the races. Saturday night of my wedding.
So did you have the same dress for the whole event?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love that. But you changed into, I guess, jeans?
Yeah, sure did. Changed into jeans to
For
go to
the races?
Yeah.
But kept the veil? I love that.
Yep. So it
Yeah.
was fun. The year that we got married, there was 5 of us that got married.
That's a lot of weddings.
And our wedding was first.
Wow.
And then, so all of us girls were all friends. The guys were all friends. The girls were friends. And so we got married in May, and I think it was July was the next wedding. And it was a friend of ours. And we were talking, all of us girls were talking one night about before our wedding. Oh, here's my dress. Where'd you get your dress? Da, 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 you know, all that talk. And this one girl, she's like, well, where did you get yours? And I honestly can't remember the name of the shop in San Diego now, but I said, you know, where I got it. She goes, oh, that's where I got mine too. And I was like, oh, well, my picture of my dress is in this magazine. So I opened the magazine. I'm like, oh, this is my dress. And
It's the same one?
same fucking dress. What are the odds?
That is crazy.
So we got married first, and they got married in July. And I don't think she listens to this, but she like nitpicked everything about our wedding. Oh, well, look at that. Oh, we'll do this.
I hate it when women do that to each other.
Yeah. So we paid for our wedding on our own. You know, Cliff and I's was very small. And then when they got married, karma struck. And
Good.
He was so sick with a migraine during their whole entire wedding.
The groom?
Yes.
Oh.
He missed the reception.
Oh no.
He came out for their dance and then went back to their hotel for the reception.
Oh, you kind of hate that, but also like she was really mean.
I did. I was kind of like, oh, I really hate that for them, but
It would have been better if she was the one with the migraine.
That's karma.
yeah. So,
What are they still married?
yes, they are. Out of the 5 of us that got married that year, let's see, I think all of us, but there's 3 of us that are left married.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty good odds.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if Cliff and I were still in San Diego, we wouldn't have been married still. So I've said that numerous times. That if we were still in San Diego, we wouldn't be married.
What do you think? Why? You have said that. Why do you think that is?
Because I love the people that we grew up with. Don't get me wrong, but they just can't grow up.
Oh, so you guys think you matured more and we're just more responsible adults just getting away from that scene?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can see
Away
that.
from the constant drinking
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that, you know, because it was bad for a while. But, you know, we got out here and everybody bet, oh, you're not going to make it a year. This is 25 years. We've been here for 25 years. this
Yeah.
year. So
Good for you.
it was good. I love everyone that we grew up with. It wouldn't be what we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have those friends and grow up that way. But I'm so glad we're here.
Yeah.
And we're thriving and we are so much closer, you know, growing through everything that we've gone through. That was one thing I was terrified of, is him and I growing apart.
Yeah.
But we have not. We have grown so much closer. And I still get butterflies when he comes home. I still get excited when he comes home. He'll still send me a I love you text every day.
Oh.
And it's just, I'm like, that's kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
We're that far into it and we're still there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I love that. I feel like you guys are just still in love.
Yes.
You know, you have it. You're not just like
we're not
just together.
a
like
bitter
you're-
couple that are together,
Yeah.
you know, just because. But
You know, Arlene, if you remember, Arlene gave me advice when I was married to my first husband and it was not going great. And she said, you just need to get away. Like you and him need to just get away from everybody, like your families, and just be on your own, which for us that wasn't the issue. But she said that when she was early in her marriage, her and her husband, I guess for his job or something, they had to move away from her family. And so they were on there. It was just the 2 of them. And like their friends weren't around, their families weren't around, and they just had each other and they had to lean on each other. And she said that's really what made their relationship really strong and like built the foundation, I think, for their marriage. And she was probably like 150 when she worked with us. So
She was our old boss.
she'd probably been married for 130 years of that 150. So maybe more. But yeah, she had a long, happy marriage. And that was her advice, was just to
It's good advice though.
build a foundation and
of your own.
Right. Of your own. Right.
I very much had to go through that. I got married at 25 and was very sheltered, I feel like, and had to kind of go through the whole, like, what are those boundaries on both sides? Where do I put my foot down and say, no, Thor, we're doing this with my family? And where do I say, like, no, Mom, we're not going to spend 4 nights at your house every week, you know?
Yeah.
like building those. And it's hard. It's hard to figure that out. And everyone has to figure out their own balance and what works for them.
Yep.
Yeah, we maybe have talked about it before, but you went from living at your parents' house. Like,
Yeah,
lived
Thor
there.
and I did not live together.
Until you were
I
married.
lived, and I didn't like move stuff into his house either. Like I did not live with Thor before we got married.
Yeah.
And that was also challenging. I wouldn't recommend it.
We lived together before we got married, and I would highly recommend it.
My advices are sex before marriage, so you know what you're getting, and living together. I just think that it is like, it's hard to move in with somebody and to like all of a sudden his nasty beard trimmings are in your sink and like
Yeah.
like the sheets are so much sweatier with a man in them. Like that's gross. Like why does he sweat so much? Like there's just things that you have to get used to with living with somebody else.
Those little things that you would not even think about. And you're just like,
No.
God,
How
you're
loud
irritating the
his
shit
video
out of me.
games are. Like, I mean, yeah, there are just things that like you have to, and I just think it's really stressful to go through a wedding too, and to do the wedding and the moving in together all at the same time.
That's why they say the
And,
first year of marriage is so hard, because
yeah, because you're trying to know people.
you're still trying to get to know each other.
Yeah, so I don't recommend it. I think you should move in before you get married.
I've lived with several boyfriends and both my husbands now. Not at the same time. My husbands separately. But I agree, because everyone has habits, right? Like we have routines. And I mean, there are things today that Matt does that drives me up the wall, but they're all things that I'm like, those are things I can deal with. Whereas there are things that he could be doing that that would set me over the edge, that like, you can't live with that.
Yeah.
You know, and thinking of exes I've had where it's like, and it's maybe not a big deal, but it's just that one thing that grates on you so much that you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it also just kind of tells you like how much, if you love that person that much, like what are you willing to put up with from them?
Yeah, and it's like that old thing they always say, like, whose quirks do you see as quirks that make you love them more? Versus if it's not the right person, you see them as flaws or things that grate on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about your weddings, Lauren. So you've had 2.
I've had 2.
And they were very different.
They were very different. Yep. Jordan's been to both of them.
So tell us how they were different.
So my first wedding, I was, what'd you say? 25 or 26, I think.
Somewhere in there.
And, we had it at a venue on Commercial Street, the historic firehouse.
Still one of my most favorite venues.
Beautiful venue.
Love it.
Got married outside in the courtyard, and then the reception was inside. We did all the things. We hired a photographer. We paid for flowers. I bought a dress, had a bachelorette party, had the bridal shower, did a bridal luncheon, had my 3 bridesmaids that spent, well, one was a maid of honor, one was a matron of honor, and then 1 bridesmaid. And they spent the day with me, you know, getting ready, and had alcohol at the reception, you know, a couple different drinks. We had Simply Delicious catered it. They also did Jordan's wedding. Great food. And just kind of like the whole shebang. I think we had a popcorn bar is like a...
Yeah, your drunk food.
Yeah, the drunk food. And then you could...
So Patty with Simply Delicious, she's fantastic. Everybody should look her up if you're looking for a caterer for any event. She really is like the best
She's
caterer.
wonderful.
But she always recommends a drunk food for your wedding or for a big party to come out a few hours after dinner
That's really cool.
to kind of help soak up the alcohol before people leave.
That's really a cool idea.
It is. I mean, I'm sure it's also like more money for her, but like it is a good idea.
Well, I think
Popcorn
we
bar,
just
huh?
had like Ozark Mountain popcorn.
Oh, there you go.
I think she just bought it from them and had different colors and flavors and
Oh,
stuff.
that's cool.
Yeah.
And you could take a bag home, I think. But yeah, so we did all the things. I had you know, I bought the dress. It came from David's, but I saw it online and I was like, this is a dress I went, tried it on. First dress I tried on, it's the dress I ended up buying. I tried on a couple more, but it was the dress I ended up going with. My colors were like coral and blush and gold, kind of just a theme, like anything in that range. Found the bridesmaids dresses at Dillard's. They were short. So yeah, it was what my parents could afford to do for us. I mean, Travis, my first husband, and I paid for some stuff, but overall it was, my parents paid for pretty much everything. And also my grandma helped a lot. And, it was what I would call a big wedding. It wasn't super formal. We're not super formal people. My, Travis and then my brothers and his brother were the groomsmen. They all wore suspenders with khaki pants and Tom shoes and like white button downs and then bow ties. They're like pink bow ties. So no jackets, no vests, or it was more, I think, like kind of a lighthearted, fun vibe.
But what I remember about your wedding and like even the pictures, it was a very distinct, like curated style.
Oh yeah.
Like it was just, and it was so effortless. And it's really kind of just how you live. Just like whenever you were walking in and Amanda and I were talking to each other, looking at you walking in from my dining room window. And we're like, she's so much cooler than us. Like you just have this like curated style and this effortlessness about you. It is so true.
Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, I definitely had a style. We had like did buttons on the tables.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Around like old vintage picture frames. I think I'd spray painted gold, and then we had flowers on all the tables. And then we had like little trivia cards about my husband and I. I mean, we were engaged for over a year. Like had a lot of time to work on it, and I wanted a big wedding. We'd been to some that were very casual, like at like the Eagles Lodge type casual, and not that there's anything wrong with that for some people, but I wanted something that kind of that hit all the high notes, you know, had the flowers and I could have the pictures and everything. So anyway, so did all that. Obviously we were married for 2 years. So we're married for 1 year when we had Collier and and separated when Collier turned 1. So we were together for just 2 years. Officially got divorced right after Collier turned 2, sorry. And then I met Matt, and Matt and I met in July. We got engaged the next June and then got married the next September. So we were only together a little over a year when we got married. And it's funny, before he had even proposed to me, like obviously we talked about it, and I knew he had gone to Maxon's and was ordering a ring or whatever. But we went out to dinner with his dad, and his dad's like, well, okay, let's go ahead and get this date on the calendar so we can make sure we're in town. And he and his now wife were getting married like the 4th of July weekend. And this was in probably May. And so we were like, okay, well, I guess we looked at September. We picked 9/9 because we thought that'd be easy to remember. And we just wanted to do it all in my husband's dad's backyard, because they have a really pretty backyard. They live in a nice neighborhood, and it's like a gated backyard, and it just super casual. But then as we got after we sent out the invitations, his dad is, and they listen to the podcast, so I love this about them, but he likes to analyze and overthink a little bit and like worry. And he really was getting worried about the weather. What if it's too hot? Like, he had the yard sprayed in case there were mosquitoes. Like, he's that guy. And he was really kept just worrying about if it rained and what we were going to do. And so we ended up getting married at their church, which was downtown, and it's actually the downtown church. And he was friends with the pastor there, my father-in-law. And Matt and I did have to do the marriage counseling, which was very beneficial for us. We went and did that with her for a few weeks before she would agree to marry us. But anyway, so we ended up having the ceremony at the church and then the reception in the backyard. Rented my dress, did buy my bouquet, ordered that. But the other flowers on the tables, I just ordered bulk flowers and did them myself. No bridesmaids, no groomsmen. Collier walked me down the aisle.
Aww.
It's pretty precious.
I remember that. Which, first of all, is like a core memory for you and Collier, But the thing I think I noticed the difference between your two weddings, the first one was very much about the party. I remember you even changed out of your dress at the reception into shorts.
Yeah, and that wasn't even planned. I just wasn't comfortable, and I was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah, they were like Sophie style shorts. Like they were
They
just
weren't
like
even mine. They were like this. I think the shorts were like my cousins, and the shirt was my my friends or something. I mean, they weren't even my clothes.
yeah. But it was very curated and very, like that wedding was very much about like getting the pictures and having the party. Whereas with your wedding with Matt was very much just about like celebrating you and Matt's love.
Yeah,
It's very much about like the two of you connecting.
Oh, that's neat.
I think it's just like our different relationships.
Yeah.
And then we went out afterwards. We just went downtown and we got so drunk, and it was so much fun. I didn't wear a veil for that wedding. I wore some like a leaf garland in my hair, and I kept that in my hair, and changed into shorts and a long sleeve, I think like a chambray type shirt, and went out. And I remember we were pretty drunk and we were at a club, and I stepped on this guy's shoes, and he like threatened to fight Matt or something. Like it was just, there's all this like crazy stuff happening, but all I remember is just how much fun it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was perfect. I don't regret anything. I just saw a post the other day on someone asking if they it was on Instagram, and it was one of the companies I rent from, the clothes from, and it said something about renting your wedding dress. And I commented on it. It wasn't that company that I rented mine from. I rented mine from Rent the Runway, but I rented my dress and have zero regrets.
I love that.
I mean, it's not hanging in a closet somewhere.
Yeah.
I still have my dress. It's underneath the stairs in a box.
And Jordan's is in a frame.
And Jordan's in the frame.
I did. I framed my dress. I framed my headpiece I wore a beautiful headpiece.
You guys had a big wedding.
Yes.
Yes.
Very glam.
Very glam.
Okay, my wedding, I got married in 2013. I was engaged for 16 to 18 months, I think. So we had a longer engagement because he proposed like September-ish. I can't really remember, but it was like sometime. And then he was thinking we'd get married. At the time, he worked at Silver Dollar City. And so they had an off season, January, February. So he didn't really work a lot of hours during January, February. And so he was thinking we'd get married that February, and then he'd be back to work. And my mom and I were both like, "Oh no, you don't plan a wedding in 5 months." Like, "Oh no, that's not happening." Yeah, like, what are you thinking? And so we got married a year after that. So like it was about 16-month engagement, I think. Yeah, the following February. So we had a very long time to plan. It also just happened to coincide with while we were planning my wedding, while we were really picking up and starting to do the planning, my aunt, who is like a third parent of mine, was in a really rough motorcycle accident. And so it was a really stressful time. And I feel like planning my wedding became a little bit of an outlet for me and my mom, and like just like a little bit of a stress outlet of like, this is something positive happening. And so we like threw our everything into it. And my mom and I are also like very alike and also very different and very stubborn. And so I really wanted a formal wedding. I wanted to do everything very formal. I wanted a small group of people, very formal. I'm also very spoiled. My dad gave me a very generous budget and said, do whatever you want with it. And so I said, okay, well, I want to do like a very nice formal wedding, which is obviously going to cost more. So we'll keep it to like 40 people. And my mom was like, no, I want to invite every single person I've ever met to your wedding. And I was like, I don't even know these people.
Yeah.
And she's like, but I have to invite every single person I've ever worked with. And I'm like, why? Like, why do you need to invite these people to my wedding?
Yeah.
And so we fought back and forth. And in true Hawkins family fashion, my dad solved it by like tripling the budget and just saying everyone can have whatever they want.
Oh, shit.
And so I got my formal wedding, and mom got her like 220 person guest list. And, it was what it was. And so we got married at the Savoy,
Which is beautiful
downtown, right across the street from the Firehouse. Gorgeous venue. I love it. And Ann and Andy, who run the Savoy, are amazing people. I've done some other corporate events down there since then. And so if anyone's looking for a good event venue, go to the Savoy.
Very nice.
So the first thing we bought for my wedding was the dress. So I had this Vera Wang dress in mind, and it was 100 yards of tulle in the skirt. And I wanted like the big poofy princess dress. Like nothing else was going to work for me. Like I had the poofy princess dress. And in the picture, like it's all spread out and it's like beautiful. And I was like, this is my dress. And so we go to try it on. It's me, my mom, and my dad. It was really important for me to have my dad there because he and I are so close. He was completely useless. He cried before I even tried on the first dress. Before I even had the first dress on, he was crying. Every dress I tried on was beautiful and the perfect one. And I was like, you're
not helping me at all.
Not helpful.
So I tried on that Vera Wang dress. I come out in it, and it was not right for my body shape. Like it made me look so much bigger. It just wasn't right, but of course my whole family's not helpful because they're all like, oh, it's beautiful. Do you feel beautiful? And I'm like, I really don't feel beautiful in this. Like, I don't think this is it. But I was at David's Bridal. I had an amazing consultant who was like, oh, well, looking at your body shape, like, let me just grab something else. So she grabbed a different dress that also had a bunch of tulle in the skirt, but didn't have so much fabric. So it didn't look so heavy on me because I'm also really short. So like things can look heavy on me pretty easily. And so she grabbed a different skirt, and then she put 2 different slips on me to make the skirt stand out even bigger.
Oh.
So I was like a little Southern belle,
Yeah.
In my hoop skirt. And it was perfect. So my dress had a bunch of silver glitter on it. And so that became the theme of the wedding was glitter. Was glitter, formal glitter.
Which is
The theme of your life.
very much Jordan.
So yes, we did everything. We had a photo booth. We had a candy bar. We had an open bar. That was my aunt and uncle who supplied the open bar for us, which was very kind of them.
I just remember taking so many tequila shots.
Oh my God.
Had so many tequila shots. I don't even know. Like, I don't know if it was just water at the end. Like, it didn't taste like water, but like, I don't know how you can drink that many tequila shots and not get sick. No one got sick.
No.
But we
Wow.
had so much tequila. We had one moment in the bathroom. My bridesmaids were, my sister was my maid of honor and my cousin was my bridesmaid. And there was a moment in the bathroom where my cousin, my sister, and my mom were all going to take shots. And so Amanda, my cousin, decided it would be a good idea to take hot tamales from the candy bar and drop them down in the tequila. And she's like, it's going to be like, a fireball. No, tequila and whiskey are not the same thing.
Is that what the pictures are?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have pictures of us before and after these nasty tequila shots with these cinnamon candies on it. It was the nastiest thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. I'll have to post it in the Facebook group. They were gross. But yeah, and we had just so much fun. We danced. We planned the whole night around the party. Ours also was not really planned around mine and Thor's love. It was very much planned around the event. But that's fine.
But that's your family too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you guys.
Nothing else has been planned around Thor either in the last 13
Thor.
years.
But I don't think Thor complains.
No.
Like, as long as Jordan gets what she wants.
No, it was really whatever Jordan and
Yeah.
KK wanted
Yeah.
that night. And
It's really happy wife, happy life. In this.
That is-
yeah. That's exactly what it was. But we danced all night long. It was a really good night. Yeah, it was so it ended up being very formal.
Who catered your wedding?
Patty Wingo
All
with
right.
Simply Delicious.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely recommend her. And I had a beautiful hairpiece. And so I took my dress, my hairpiece, a lace handkerchief my mom had bought for me when we were kids. My mom bought, I don't know what it is, French lace or Italian lace handkerchiefs or something for us, one for me and one for my sister. And a little scrap of my dad's, I can't remember, a scrap of I think it was a scrap of my mom's wedding dress on the bottom of my dress with the date sewn into it, with my wedding date sewn, like embroidered into it in blue, that I flipped up. And then I had something on my dad's wrapped around my bouquet, like maybe my sister had part of his work shirt. So I also had part of his work shirt. I had something on my dad's wrapped around my bouquet and some lace from my mom's wedding dress. So I took all of that. I dried out my bouquet and took all of that and put it into a huge picture collage picture frame. And so it's all framed.
How'd you fit that dress in there, Jordan?
I cut most of it out of it, so you can't reuse my dress. I had to cut all of that tulle out of there.
Yep.
It's very pretty though.
It is gorgeous. But if I ever have a kid who wanted to use lace, I think I would do the same thing my mom did, right? Where we would use some of the lace off of it or some of the
They're not going to
glitz. No one wants to
reuse the
actually
whole
wear an
dress,
old dress. Right. Yeah.
I think my mom's selling my first wedding dress finally. I did the same thing. I put it in a shadow box, but then, when I wasn't married to him anymore, I was like, well, that's kind of weird to display. So I finally took it out of the shadow box, and I think my mom maybe is selling it, sold it. I don't know. She bought it. So I was like, you can sell it. I don't care.
Yeah, I had mine cleaned and it's in a box. It's downstairs underneath our stairs. And I actually also have my sister-in-law's dress downstairs too. So I have two dresses. So I'm like, what the hell are we going to do with these dresses? So I told Cameron, I'm like, you get the pick of it,
Yeah.
either one.
Well, one of the things I've found interesting, so we all three brought up price and cost just kind of organically when we were talking, because weddings are expensive.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes, they are.
Crazy.
So I found an article from bankrate.com. Now, it was published in March of 2023, and I probably did the research on this particular episode like 6 months ago, so it felt newer at the time. With inflation rates, I feel like these numbers are already like useless, but I just thought it was fascinating. So I have some interesting numbers for you. Average wedding cost and wedding planning tips for 2023. So a little outdated, but I feel like close enough. Key insights. 54% of couples whose wedding time frame was in the fourth quarter of 2022 say their budget and planning were affected by the economy.
The fourth quarter of 2022.
So that wasn't that long ago. Yeah, and I bet it's even more now.
Well,
54%.
I'm also thinking in like the COVID timeline because that affected a lot of people's weddings.
Yes. Yeah, it did.
Big time.
39% of couples married in 2022 discussed inflation when shopping for vendors for their wedding.
Like if their rates would go up before
I'm
they
sure.
after they sign the contract.
That's 40%.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. 60% of couples married in 2022 say they have increased their overall wedding budget at least once, in part due to inflation. That's what I did. It wasn't due to inflation. It was due to KK.
KK is inflation.
That was Lauren, Mom. That was not me. Almost 1 in 10, 7% of people have delayed getting married due to the state of the economy. Such as, what is 1 in 10? Is 1 in 10 actually 7%?
No, 1 in 10 is 10%.
That's what I thought. So why this says almost 1 in 10?
10.
Well, almost 7% is not almost 10%. That's a pretty big stretch. So this article may have just lost its credibility.
1 in 10. Well, because it would be 0.7 in 10, and you can't have 0.7 of a person. So they probably rounded it up to 1.
Okay. We don't do math on this show. It's fine. People have delayed getting married due to the state of economy, such as rising inflation and interest rates as of October of 2022. I had a cousin who had a long-term girlfriend who refused to marry her because her credit was bad.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's... I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm guessing there had to be other issues there. It's not a cousin I'm close to, so I can't be like, hey, why'd you do that? But that would require me talking to those people, and I don't think I can do that. But, I mean, yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
I mean, I feel like you can't love the person that much if something like that is a deal breaker when it's something that's fixable.
Okay, take a guess. The average wedding held in 2022, including both ceremony and reception, cost how much?
I read it. I'm not gonna.
I did not read it. 30,000.
God,
Oh, you hit it right on the head.
nose.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is average.
That's crazy though.
That's insane.
Because I think
so
mine
crazy.
was like 10. My first wedding was like 10 was the goal, and that was a lot.
Well, my budget was 10,000, and I mean, I don't think he actually tripled the budget, but we went way over it. Like we definitely doubled it. And but that was in 2013, so that was a really long time ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, man, it's so much money.
I think we've kind of gone through and just kind of added up the little things that we had, and I think ours was like between 5,000 and 8,000 for the whole wedding in 1998. Yeah,
yeah.
But in California, things tend to be pricier.
It was.
Here,
I have literally told Cameron if she gets married, you go to a destination, just go somewhere, get married.
Yeah.
We'll come back and have a party.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how many people do you think you had at your wedding?
At my wedding?
Uh-huh.
Oh, maybe 100 to 150. It wasn't huge.
I think it's a pretty big wedding, though.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Half of them we didn't know. Just like yours.
Yeah.
We got these invitations. Like,
KK knew everyone at my
literally,
wedding.
I can remember my dad and I were doing the father-daughter dance, and my dad's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "I don't know. Who's that? I have no idea." Well, who's that? I got no clue. I don't know who these people are that are here. And Cliff and his mom were doing the same thing too. We're like, "Where do these people come from?" Where did they come from? Oh, well, I think grandma invited them. Well,
Oh my God.
Okay, shit.
How many people did you have at your weddings? Your first one definitely had more.
Yeah, I think it was probably about 150, between 125, 150 for the first one. And I think we only invited 100 to the second one. So less than that came. Mm-hmm. But also that was one of those things too. I mean, we got engaged in June and the wedding was in September, which is a really quick turnaround.
Right.
And I had my list. I mean, it was pretty pared down for my first wedding. It was similar, but pared down. Because it was like, just if they hadn't met Matt, then I didn't feel like they needed to be there.
Yeah.
But we'd only been together a year, so that really cut out a lot of people.
Yeah.
But then after we sent out the initial invites, his dad and his dad's wife were like, well, I think you guys missed a lot of people.
Oh, well.
When I told Matt, I was like, give me your list. And he gave me a list of I don't know, less than 10 probably of his friends, maybe a couple family members, like his, uncle and aunt, but didn't invite any of his dad's really close friends, his dad and Susan's really close friends, or even people he called an aunt. He just didn't think about adding them to the list.
Yeah.
And they were people that definitely should have been invited, but I didn't know. I had not met them. And then at this point, and so I felt really, really bad. But I was like, okay, well, it's in your backyard. So as long as you can accommodate them, we can add them.
Oh, I love that. So I did not know. So when I got engaged and even when I married Thor, I thought that he had a brother and a sister. And he did have a brother and a sister. I did not realize he had 2 adopted sisters that his mom had adopted who were significantly younger than him, 10, 15 years younger than him. And so he was kind of already out of the house by that time, but had adopted these 2 little girls. They were biological sisters who she adopted, but they were from Vietnam. They were the Vietnamese vote children, where they sent them out to try to save them from all the unrest that was happening in Vietnam at the time. So they have a fascinating backstory, but so they still are in close contact with their biological mom too. So they have 2 sets of parents. Well, I never knew they existed. And so
you guys had been together a while too.
Yeah, we were together 3 years by the time we got married. And I never knew they existed. I'd been back to his house. I never knew until, it was we were at my wedding, getting ready or something. And my sister-in-law said something about oh, my sister is stuck in the airport. Well, his family lives in Virginia. They're far away from us. I don't know all of his family. So I'm thinking sister-in-law, were they on your guest? I don't know who all was on his guest list, right? He had quite a few people that traveled in for the wedding. And I'm like, oh, your sister-in-law? And she's like, no, my sister. She got iced in at the airport in Chicago and couldn't make, she was trying to get here from DC and couldn't make it. And I'm like, who? And she's like, my sister, Linda. And I'm like, you have a sister named Linda, your sister. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, who is this person? And she's like, well, Linda and Tina, they're my sisters. And I'm like,
what?
No. So I found out I have 2 more sister-in-law that I never knew. And I would be like, what do you mean you don't
And then at that point you're like, damn it, Thor.
Yeah, I was like, are you kidding me? These are things I'm supposed to know about the person I'm getting married to.
Right.
I was going to say Matt, but Thor just conveniently forgot about these sisters.
He's just unconcerned. He's like, they're not my sisters. And I'm like, yes, they are. He will still say that. He'll still be like, they're not my sisters. I didn't grow up with them. That's something she did after I was gone. I'm like, she being your mom, your mom and dad who adopted and raised children. What do you mean? No, those are your sisters. And he's like, I don't know them. But they see him and they're like, brother, they call him their brother. And he's just and I mean, he's nice to them and all, but he's just yeah, I don't know. It's not,
Oh my God.
I wasn't a part of that. What?
They did that when I was gone.
Funny.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, anyway, that was a fun rabbit hole. Okay. So we all had relatively big, cause I had around 220, I think 217, something.
I feel like the
that.
Savoy was packed. It
was
was inside.
Yeah.
and I feel like there were like just enough chairs.
There were. Yeah, we definitely pushed the limit.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't remember. I held your bouquet. I can't remember why, but I held it for a long time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it was the heaviest goddamn bouquet. My arms were numb.
So my mom is such a good mom. Like, she just really is. Like, so she's a fixer.
Oh, she is.
So one of the things, she fixed several things at my wedding. One of the things she fixed was my bouquet. Like, I really wanted a huge bouquet. Like, I wanted a massive bouquet. And so we went to pick up the flowers, and we looked at it, and the bouquet they'd made, and like I had told them, like I'd gone out of my way to like show them pictures of huge bouquets, and I was like, I want so many flowers. And so we go to pick them up like the day before the wedding or something, and or to look at them. Like everything was done. We were going to look at them, and they were going to deliver them to the venue the next day for us. That's what it was. So we go to look at them, and I'm looking at it, and my bouquet is like barely any bigger than the bridesmaids' bouquets. And I was like, it's fine. You know, and I was trying really hard to do the whole, like, I'm not going to stress over things, you know, and I've always done events that way. And so I was like, I'm not going to treat my wedding any differently. Like, you plan, and then you just deal with whatever goes wrong. Right. And so I was like, it's fine. And my mom's like, it's not fine. Like, you're disappointed. And she's like, she really wanted it a lot bigger. And the lady's like, how much bigger? And she's like at least twice that size. And so to the florist's like credit, like she made it like full on so much bigger.
Biggest fucking.
It really was so big.
Seen.
Okay, so it did a few things. So first of all, it was so heavy. It was so heavy. Like, it was so hard to carry. When Thor and I are standing there, we're supposed to be like he's like, we're holding hands. I'm supposed to be like holding the bouquet in one hand. I got it like laying on top of our hands so he can help me hold it because it's like so heavy. And then at some point I just turn around and hand that thing off to my sister, and I'm like, that's your problem now. Yeah, but it also was so big that it makes my waist look so tiny in the pictures because the proportions are wrong. I'm looking at a picture of it right now, and it does. It makes me look very tiny. It's good. I'll post a picture of it.
There's a tip for a future bride.
Yeah. If you want your waist
bouquet
to look smaller, get a big bouquet and hold it in front of your waist during pictures. It'll work. My mom also fixed during my wedding. My brother-in-law rolls in to the wedding like an hour before the ceremony or whatever, right? He doesn't come to the rehearsal dinner the night before. It's just my brother-in-law's personality. It's just who he is. So he rolls in. All my guys are wearing black and white tuxes. Like they've got black tuxes on white shirts. This guy rolls in with this purple ass vest, and I'm like, it's fine. You know, like, it'll be fine. And my mom's like, no, it will not be fine. And
I can so see her.
She's like, he's going to ruin all the pictures. You know, and so she calls wherever we had rented these tuxes from. So the guy comes to bring his vest, and he's like, comes and he hunts me down, the bride, which I'm like, don't do that. Here's a word of advice. Don't hunt down the bride for anything on the wedding.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
And so I'm like trying to have all these gifts for all these different people. I'm trying to like get an order that I'm trying to hand out and stuff. And so I'm working on that. And like, I've already written off like, okay, my brother-in-law's wearing a purple vest, whatever. But my mom had fixed it. So then this guy comes to hunt me down, and he's like, I just want to apologize. We got the orders mixed up. And I just turn around and I'm like, why are you talking to me? Is there not anybody else in this room you could be talking to right now? And my sister, who's the exact opposite personality of me, she's like this kind, sweet. She's like, she's just really stressed. I'm not stressed. I don't need to talk to you. You're not on my list of people to talk to today.
Get out of my face. Oh God.
Anyway, okay, so getting back to this stupid article, the Knot research this is all from the Knot.com, really. I mean, it's on Bankrate.com, but they're using the Knot.com's research. So it says, though, in 2022, couples had an average of 117 wedding guests. So that's $30,000 for 117 wedding guests. So we all had more than that. So it would have been even more expensive.
Yeah. I feel like it just depends on where you cut corners and where you don't. I mean, and by cut corners, I mean, it's just what's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that I wish I had spent money on that I didn't, and things that I can't really think of anything that wasn't necessary. Anything that I didn't wish I did. But like for our second wedding, we did not have a professional photographer. We had someone who offered to do it for us, who is a professional photographer actually, but more like sports and stuff. And we don't have a lot of great pictures.
So do you wish if you would have gone back and done it, do you wish
I
you
would have
done?
paid to have like an actual wedding photographer for sure. I mean, that's something I feel like, I don't know, because we don't have great pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, like you can't recreate those pictures. So
one of the things I'm glad I did at my wedding is we did the pictures. We did a first look in the afternoon, and then we did the pictures before the ceremony.
yes, same.
Oh, yeah.
So then after the wedding, because again, once the guests arrived, it's like a show, right? Like we're planning a whole thing here. And so once the guests arrived, we wanted to be able to have them immediately go and get in the buffet line and get dinner. And the bar was
And
open.
not wait for you guys to get pictures taken.
Right.
Yeah. And my sister did it the opposite. And there were actually people who left her reception before they even came in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend doing the pictures first. Do your first look and do your pictures first.
I agree. I've been at a couple where you had that waiting time, and there might even be a bar open during that time when they're taking pictures.
But people, they still leave.
But they never serve food during that time.
No, they don't.
Like your meal. I mean, they might even have appetizers, but I remember just being so hungry at some of them. And, you know, maybe the reception said on the invite it was going to start at 6:30, and it's like 7, and they're still not back and taking pictures because they're it's taking longer and extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
I want to stick around for that.
Yeah. I also love I did not do a first look with my dad, but that's like a new trend where people are doing first looks with their dads.
Those, yeah.
And I love that. Yeah. I feel like that I would recommend people do that. I did not do that.
Dad didn't even walk me down the aisle either wedding.
At either wedding? Mm-mm. Oh, I don't think I realized that. Your brother walked you down the aisle.
My brothers, my first one, my dad and I had not been talking. We had a big fight. We weren't talking leading up, during the planning of the wedding. And we finally made up. My grandma was also dying at the same time, so it was a crazy stressful time leading up to it. She died, I think, 2 weeks before my wedding, and when she got really sick, we ended up talking. But yeah, we had a fairly tumultuous relationship at the time, and leading up to the wedding, we hadn't been talking. And so I was like, well, I can't really plan on him walking down. I'm not going to ask him to walk me down the aisle. He's not talking to me. Mm-hmm. And so I just made the decision that I was going to have my brothers walk me down the aisle. My dad came. He came, and there's pictures. I mean, he sat on the front row with my mom. And by that time, we had made up, and it was fine. And he never said anything to me about it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was an important thing to him to give me away. But I think he probably still... I haven't asked him. I probably should, but I think he probably would still appreciate it. He's always really instilled in us that we need to have a very close relationship with siblings.
Yeah.
And so he probably, having them walk down the aisle probably didn't hurt his feelings in any way. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then I did instead of doing a father-daughter dance, I danced with each of my brothers.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Picked a song for each of them. So...
Yeah, my dad definitely walked me down the aisle. I did not get a first look with him, but I did I had a photographer who just followed me around, the day of and kind of snapped pictures. And I had a very emotional, nobody tells you on your wedding day how emotional you're going to be.
Yeah.
And I just had this moment in the bathroom where I was getting ready where I just was very emotional, and I was just tearing up, and not because I didn't want to get married. I was so excited to get married, but it's also just this very, I had lived with my parents, again, very sheltered little girl. Right. And
it's a whole thing that day.
Yeah, it's just a lot of emotions. And so there is a moment where my mom and dad were able to step into the bathroom, and it was just the three of us. We just had this nice moment together, and there were a few pictures snapped there, which was nice.
That's awesome.
But my dad was so drunk by then. It was my dad, this could almost be the Hot Mess Express story, but we won't do that to him again. We've already done one.
I love Jeff Hot Mess Express.
So I was his baby. I'm 6 and 5 years younger than my brother and sister. And so I'm his baby. I got married first. I'm also his favorite. And I got married first, and it was a little hard on him. Not that he loves Thor, but that day he just filled a 44-ounce cup with bourbon or something and just slipped on it.
Oh my God.
I remember we had like a moment after we did the pictures before the guests arrived. We'd already done our first look, so we were all just like hanging out, and the DJ put some like Cyndi Lauper or some just like fun dance music on for us, and it was just me and my family and Thor out there like dancing and having fun, and Lauren and I remember like watching my brother and my cousin, who like are such good siblings, you know, like they were like on Jeff duty, and like so like my brother and my cousin were both just like, buddy, you gotta stay standing up. Like, we're like, what's
You still gotta walk her down the aisle, dude.
So,
Oh, that's funny.
oh, it is funny. What's that sound?
Hot Mess Express rolling into the station.
Here we go. Okay, so we're going to do something a little different today. Instead of one Hot Mess Express story, I found a BuzzFeed.com article that kind of does like the listicles of the different posts. And it is people sharing stories from the worst weddings they've been to. OMG, people are wild. So I thought we'd read just a couple of these.
I will add something to this.
Disastrous weddings.
It wasn't probably as bad as any of these, but
Okay.
my brother and sister-in-law got married in March of 14, and my nephew was like 6 months old at the time, and their wedding was really small. They had it in the chapel at Drury. Beautiful. It really was very pretty. They just had cake on site, like in the so it didn't have like a big reception, but it was, like I said, really pretty, cute. You know, we kind of sort of threw it together, but you wouldn't have known that. But afterwards, when we were taking family pictures, Oliver barfed all over.
Oh, no.
I think Jake, Margot's twin brother, my sister-in-law's twin brother, I think Jake maybe got it the worst. I can't remember. But one of us definitely, like, we were holding Oliver, and someone was taking the pictures, and like you can, one of Margot's friends was taking the pictures, and like you can go through them and you see him like the projectile like vomiting.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And then they had an ice storm, and her family from Mississippi, like they either got stuck here or they had to like leave and couldn't stay like they had planned to because the ice storm was coming in. It was like the first weekend of March.
Oh jeez.
So, but their actual wedding was great. But yeah, it was not ideal to have Oliver get a stomach bug.
It's funny though. It's a funny story.
Funny. Yeah.
Okay, the first one says, I saw the bride and groom get in a huge argument where the bride produced their actual marriage license and set it on fire in front of the entire reception. Good time.
Oh my god. I was the flower girl in a wedding when I was 6. The ceremony was going fine until the kiss. The groom looked at the crowd, laughed, and said, I don't want to kiss her. Everyone thought he was joking, but he really would not kiss his bride, and left her standing there totally embarrassed. Even at age 6, I was dumbfounded. That marriage lasted less than a year.
Oh,
wow. That just is rough.
Well, so this is another story about a kid vomiting. There was an 8-year-old boy who had loads of confetti in his hand. Turns out he thought it was sugar paper, ate all of it, and then proceeded to projectile vomit everywhere through the middle of the ceremony.
Oh my god.
It was one of the funniest and most disgusting moments of my life.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's so gross. I was an attendant at my best friend's wedding. Her father walked her down the aisle, and while he was not visibly drunk, he had a hard time walking behind her to take his seat. He stepped on her dress, ripping it from her back down to her ass, which revealed her red thong. They had to stop the wedding so that she could find safety pins.
But who wears red underwear at their wedding?
I'm sure it was like lingerie for the wedding night.
Yeah, but I feel like that's all white. Maybe
Well-
she was making a statement.
Wow.
Okay.
There were 4 separate fist fights, and the bride was involved in 2 of them. She threw the first punch in the second fight. Oh my god.
This is actually something I see come up a lot on That's It, I'm Wedding Shaming, a Facebook group I'm in. During the best man speech, the best man proposed to the maid of honor. It totally stole the night from the bride and groom. Now the best man and maid of honor are in the process of divorcing. The bride and groom did not know this was going to happen. No one did.
Ooh.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't like it when you take somebody else's thunder.
No, I've seen a lot of that, like on TikTok and stuff, where they'll go to throw the bride will throw the bouquet and they turn around and hand it to somebody, and then the boyfriend comes up. You don't do that at somebody's wedding. That just kind of steals their thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one says, I went to my cousin's wedding where the groom and groomsmen wore tuxedo t-shirts. When it was time for the groom to say, I do, he said, aw, shit, I guess. Shortly after eating, he and his friends proceeded to light the trash on fire and shoot clay pigeons behind the house.
Oh, dear God.
I mean, it's either a fun country wedding or that bride was really upset. I don't know which one.
Shotgun wedding is what that was. The sister of the bride, who wasn't invited, showed up drunk and got in a fight with the bride until the father of the bride broke it up by putting the sister in a chokehold and dragging her out of the venue. The bride was surprisingly fine afterwards. Wow.
Someone hit the DJ because he refused to play a certain song.
Oh,
That would be me. I would get pissed about that.
the bride's stepmother and mother got into a fight. The stepmother bit the mother. The wedding came to a screeching halt.
Oh, that poor bride and groom.
Oh,
You know that had to be so embarrassing
Yeah.
for them. I mean, don't embarrass your kids on their wedding day.
Just keep it together.
Talk
One
about a
day.
good way to go no contact real fast.
Yeah.
Like, don't embarrass your kids on their wedding day.
Oh. My mother-in-law handed out my sister-in-law's EP to as many guests as she could and threw a fit in the middle of the dance floor later that night because I didn't let her daughter sing with the band. Her exact words were, "How dare you make today all about you? It was my wedding."
Yay.
Ouch.
An ex-boyfriend of the bride got super drunk at the reception and started rambling loudly about how the marriage was wrong and how she was the love of his life. He was there with his new and soon-to-be ex-girlfriend.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, can you imagine being that girlfriend?
But, like, why would you invite your ex?
Yeah, that too.
I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you should invite your ex. Like, that's not ever going to go well.
No, it would have to be like, I mean, I don't know. It would have to be a very like special relationship and not the type of relationship where the guy would still be like pining for you.
No, and I just can't imagine being that poor new girlfriend who has no idea all the dynamics here, right? And she's just sitting there and like the guy you came with declares his love for the bride and like, oh, talk about embarrassing.
What a mess.
My stepdad used to be in a band that sometimes played weddings. He told me at one wedding the groom got up to give a speech before the first dance and told everyone that the bride and best man could have the first dance because they'd been fucking. He then left and the bride and best man actually had that dance.
No.
That's freaking ballsy right there.
Oh, man.
I'm sitting here and I'm
I mean, it could be a spicy book if she goes ahead and gets married to the best man, and then they have the dance, right? And they have their happy little, their happy ever after. But I don't know.
I worked weddings for a living and once saw the best man get loaded, give a speech, profess his love for the bride, and say how they had slept together 2 nights prior.
I mean, it's such a bad trope, but like, it would be so humiliating.
Oh my God.
And also, like, why would you do that? Like, as the bride, like, just don't do stupid things.
Don't do stupid shit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, these are hilarious. We only read about half of them.
Yeah.
We'll post it on the Facebook page. Go look at them. They're funny. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. We are so excited to be back from our summer hiatus. We're excited to be back in the saddle and back on our weekly schedule. Email us your episode ideas at hotmessroundtable@gmail.com or any feedback you have for us. Or post and talk to us in our Facebook group. We look forward to seeing you guys around, and everybody, thanks.
Have a good week.
Thank you.